So today we're going to specifically learn how to graph our quadratic equations. We've actually done this a couple times as we've gone through these lessons, but today we're going to write down step by step how to do this. Now you will need graph paper. If you need some, please let me know and I can have some available at the Morro Bay High School office. So if you need some graph paper, make sure that you get that. Otherwise, we want to make sure that you're being very specific using a ruler, things like that. So let's go ahead and jump in. Today, like I said, we are going to be graphing quadratic equations. And we're going to walk through the whole process with the equation y is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 12. Okay, there are 8 steps to make this happen. And the first step is what we've been practicing the last few classes, which is to use and create a diamond problem, generic rectangle. Okay, so we know that we start that by taking and pulling out our A, our B, and our C. Our A is a 1, it's the number in front of the x squared. Our B is in front of the x, which is 4, and our C is negative 12. We then go ahead and we do A times C, which is negative 12, and then our B goes on the bottom, and then we're looking for those pairs. We know we have 1 times 12 adds to 13, subtracts to 11. 2 times 6 adds to 8, subtracts to 4. So we have a 2 and a 6. We need it to be a positive 4, so it's going to be that negative 2. We're now going to transfer the information from right and left and from our original problem into our generic rectangle. So we have x squared and then a negative 12 for the upper right. We then have negative 2x and 6x from our diamond problem. We're going to go ahead and solve. The only way to get x squared is x times x. X times 6 gives us 6x, and x times negative 2 gives us negative 2x. We're going to go ahead and write this in product form, which is y is equal to x plus 6 times x minus 2. Okay, so that is step number 2, is to write as a product or in product form. Remember, this one's standard, this one's product form. Okay, so that is our answer. Once again, if we put these both in Desmos calculator, we'll see that they are the same exact parabola. Step number 3, set each set of parentheses equal to 0. Okay, so we have x plus 6 is equal to 0 and x minus 2 is equal to 0. And solve. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and solve for each x. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides for this one. We're going to add 2 to both sides for this one. And we have x is equal to negative 6 and x is equal to 2. These, of course, are our roots, our x-intercepts, our zeros, our solutions. All of those names are interchangeable, and you should know each of those. Okay, so now we're actually ready to graph. So our step number 4 is going to be to plot the x-intercepts. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plot those x-intercepts. So on your graph paper, using a ruler, of course, we're going to go ahead and make a coordinate grid. Make sure you're using a ruler as you're graphing. We're going to do our 5, our 10. We can always extend it out if we find we need more. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. -5, -10. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to plot those x-intercepts. Once again, we have one at -6, and our other one is at +2. Now, we're going to go ahead and our next step is we're going to find and plot the vertex. Now, because this one's not a decimal or a fraction, we know it's the middle on the axis of symmetry, line of symmetry. So we can just kind of do this and find out where the middle is. And it's going to be right there at -2. However, that's not real mathy. So we know the official rule to find that vertex is we add these together, -6 plus 2, because we want to find the middle of those two numbers, divide it by 2. That gives us -4 divided by 2. So that gives us an x value of our vertex of -2. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug that -2 into either our product form or in our regular one. We're going to get the same answer, our standard form, and we're going to solve and find out what our y value is. So I like to use this one. Y is equal to -2 plus 6 times -2 minus 2, which is 4 times -4, which is -16. Okay, and that is my y value for my vertex. Now, if I have this one as well, -2 squared is 4, and then we have 4 times -2 is -8, that's -4, and -4 minus 12 is -16. So it doesn't matter whether I plug it in here or here, it's whichever one's easier for you. Okay, so step number 5, now that we've found our vertex, is we are going to plot the vertex. Now we're going to write down those steps just because we haven't officially written that down anywhere of how to find that vertex. So the way that we find the vertex is we add the x's together and divide by 2. And that is how we found the x value of the vertex. And then we plug it into the equation and solve for y. Okay, so that's how we get that vertex. So we're going to go ahead and plot it on our graph. Now it's -16, so we're going to need to go ahead and go down a little bit further. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's going to be our -15. Okay, and I'm going to add that ruler and continue on down. Try and get on that line. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and plot the point -2, -16 on here. So we go -2, -16. Okay, and then we have one more piece of information that we get to add, and this is step number 6, is plot the y-intercept. Now remember, this one is super easy to find by simply looking at the original equation. Your y-intercept is your constant. Your y-intercept is your constant. So we're just going to plot on the y-axis that -12. So we're going to plot -12. And because it's symmetrical, we know that from the vertex, 2 to the right is at -12. So I know because it's symmetrical, 2 to the left gives me an additional point on my graph. The final step, step number 7, is to make a smooth curve. Now, for me, I always like to start at the vertex and do a smooth curve through those points on the right. And then I go ahead and do the same going up the left. Now, as you can see, my smooth curve is not super fabulous. When I grade this, I grade your points, not your ability to draw. So remember, that should be a curved bottom edge there. And then we're going to go ahead and have our completed graph. So as you can see, this is the equation. We need to title it y is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 12. And we have graph. You're going to be graphing a number of these in our Desmos assignment today, and you will be uploading those pictures. I recommend having Drive on your phone and just taking a picture into Drive and then getting that on your computer that way. Now we're going to double check this by going into Desmos and make sure that we have all of that correct. So we're going to type our original equation, y equals x squared plus 4x minus 12. We're going to zoom on down a little bit here so we can see it all. And then we're going to look at our product form. Y is equal to x plus 6 times x minus 2. And as you can see, once again, they are the same. They're on top of each other. And now I'm just going to click on those positions to see if I was correct. So I have an x-intercept of 2, an x-intercept of negative 6, a vertex of negative 2, negative 16, and a y-intercept of negative 12. Then we have my bonus point that we did right here as well, which was that negative 4, negative 12. I can just type it in over here. And as you can see, that's my extra bonus point on that line. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how we go ahead and graph the equations. My recommendation is to have this out during your entire work that you're doing today and make sure you're referring, because there are a lot of steps to make that happen. And we want to make sure that you are doing it correctly. Make sure you're asking questions during the Desmos activity if you get stuck on one of these steps.